Hello, this is Doug again, and here is how I implemented intermittent fasting and OMAD into my eating habits, and it has enabled me to go from 226 pounds to 179 pounds, which is a 47-pound weight loss, or literally 20% of my entire body weight. And 179 pounds is actually a little less than what I weighed when I graduated from college. I still eat pizza, cookies, mocha frappes, cheeseburgers, chicken quesadillas, and basically anything I want, but I'm at the weight I want to be at, which is right around 180 pounds at 6 feet tall. And I'm even getting visible abs at the age of 53, which is another crazy thing that has happened over the past year as well, which I didn't expect. So I became proficient at intermittent fasting before I switched over to OMAD, which is one meal a day. OMAD was the treasure at the end of the intermittent fasting rainbow, so to speak. What I did was I cut my eating window time down by 30 minutes every couple of weeks. If you try to cut your eating habits down too drastically or too dramatically, you will have a much harder time being successful. Our bodies are kind of addicted to food and our eating habits that we've had for several decades, so you must make small changes over time so they become long-term habits. You want to slowly lower your eating window over weeks so it becomes a habit. And when you do it this way, it is actually way easier to accomplish than I ever would have thought. So for example, when I was 226 pounds, I was eating, 2 egg burrito breakfast sandwiches or egg McMuffins about 8 o'clock a.m. every morning with an iced coffee, right? And then at 12 p.m., I'd eat a large lunch like chicken fajitas with extra sour cream and a Coke. Lunch was typically somewhat of a party, and I'd want to take, a nap after it. Then at 6 p.m. at night, I would typically eat something like a cheeseburger and fries with even a milkshake or a part of a milkshake. And I'd be done by around 7 p.m. at night. So 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. is an 11-hour eating window. And from 7 p.m. to 8 a.m., that is, 13 hours of not eating. So what I did was I cut that 7 p.m. end time down to 6:30 p.m. And I'd make sure I took my last bite of food by 6:30 p.m. no matter what. And I didn't care what I ate. I could still eat, all the ice cream and cheeseburgers and whatever I wanted, but I'd stop at 6:30 p.m. Then after 2 weeks or so, I'd cut my window down from 6:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. and I would not eat anything after 6 p.m. And my body was okay with this as it was a slow change over time. It's not like I was skipping an entire meal and making things very difficult on my system. Right there in 1 month, I went to a 10-hour eating window and 14 hours of not eating. And you just continue from there. 2 weeks later, the last bite of food occurs at 5:30 p.m. and then 2 weeks later, 5 p.m. And I went on and on. It actually gets easier and easier over time. My body was okay with the changes and barely caused me any discomfort. When I eventually got down to a 4-hour eating window, I was eating one meal at 8 a.m. and one meal at 11 a.m. And my last bite of food stopped at 12 p.m. Then I was very close to OMAD. And after doing a 4-hour window with 2 meals for a few weeks, boom, it was actually pretty easy to just go down to 1 meal a day, eating everything within 1 hour. Our bodies are amazing at adapting to different routines and even eating routines. The trick is to be very patient and don't worry about your weight every week, nor what you're actually eating. Healthy food or non-healthy food. I just focused on lowering the eating window by 20 to 30 minutes every 2 to 3 weeks. And my body was fine with that. It was way easier than I initially imagined because when I first heard of people not eating for 20 hours a day, I thought I could never do it. But I found that when I went slow and I rewarded myself with whatever I wanted to eat, I was willing to make the trade-off. Less eating time for the food I love to eat. I would sometimes literally say to myself, okay, I'm not going to eat for 18 hours now, but when I do eat tomorrow, I'm going to have ribs and mocha frappe, and it's going to be like a party. So it's okay for me to wait. It's kind of a reward system. If you force yourself to eat like a rabbit, and you immediately take all the food away from yourself that you love, you are making it very difficult for you to stick with it. I would get a lot of happiness and joy from eating because I'm basically addicted to the food, the chemicals that are in the food, and whatever else is in it. It's a physiological and psychological addiction. So when I tried to go on diets in the past and eat more salads and more healthy stuff and less stuff that I love to eat, which is supposedly bad for you, it felt like I was being punished. And I found it very hard to maintain because the joy of eating what I like was gone. So I'd always fail my diets after a certain amount of time. So being able to eat what you want, but just for less hours in a day, is a fair trade-off to me. It's like a compromise. And when you see that you start losing weight, it really starts to become a habit and the beginning of a long-term habit as well. So intermittent fasting, while eating whatever I wanted, was good at getting me down to about 192 pounds. But like they say, the last 10 pounds or so are the hardest to lose. And that was definitely the case for me as well, as I hit 192 pounds about 4 times over 6 years. But about 20 weeks ago, I shifted to OMAD, and OMAD got me to lose the additional 13 pounds and got me to 179 pounds. And 180 pounds has been my goal for literally 20 years now. No kidding. So it was a huge achievement for me. So yeah, I'm extremely happy about it. And now I know I can eat whatever I want and still remain in the 180-pound area, which is very comforting for me. Now, I may improve my diet in the future, and that may bring me down to even 170 pounds or something like that, but I'm not in a hurry. I'm very happy with being at about 180, and I'm very patient. So that's my advice. Number 1, be very patient as you are developing a new long-term eating habit, and these things take time and persistence. Commit to creating a long-term change to your eating habits. Number 2, don't worry about your weight fluctuations during the process. Just focus on cutting the eating window down by 30-minute intervals over weeks and months. Keep your eyes on the prize and focus on that. Number 3, when you hit the 6-hour eating window and then when you hit the 4-hour eating windows, know that you are extremely close to going OMAD, even though you may still think your body won't be able to do it. Even I felt that way with the 4-hour window. But over time, it just kind of happened without me really even trying. It was like a natural progression. And then I was a lot more in control of my eating habits. These days, sometimes even after 24 hours, I'm not even hungry. And I feel like I could go, another 4 hours or more without eating, and I'd be fine. So I'll sometimes, have to force myself to eat something just to prevent myself from having to eat, maybe at 10 o'clock at night. I'll kind of force myself to eat sometimes, which is amazing, and that is how much your eating needs and desires will change. Intermittent fasting and OMAD make your body desire less food and less quantities of food over time. It just happens naturally without you really even trying to make it happen. I literally eat 60 or 70% less than what I was eating when I was 226 pounds. I just don't have the desire to eat nearly as much anymore. I don't have to use any willpower. My body just doesn't want any more food. And I have energy and I exercise, for 45 to 55 minutes every day. No problem. So that is how I implemented intermittent fasting and OMAD and finally slayed my dragon after all these years. Hopefully, this can be of value to some of you. If you want to see what I ate last week, please click on this video here. And if you have any questions for me, please ask them in the comments below and I'll try to help you. Thank you so much for watching and good luck. Bye-bye.